So this is some interesting news coming out of the state of Texas. My name's Colin, and Texas recently updated the Statewide Communications Interoperability Plan, or the SCIP. It was voted in November of 2025. We're now on January 6th of 2026, so fairly recent. I hadn't seen it, so I'm just now posting it. I saw it post and I just noticed it, so let's get into it. One of the biggest things is if we scroll down here and come to our technology and infrastructure plan. So basically, one of the big changes is there is officially now a definition for what defines a regional radio system. If you're not familiar with the land mobile radio industry when it comes to public safety communications here in the state of Texas, we have not one statewide system, but multiple systems, regional. And typically, one of our regional systems is the size of most other states' entire system. So it's a large state, a lot of area to cover, and we still don't cover it all with a single P25 trunking system. Anyway, quick definition. Coverage in 3 or more counties or at least 2,000 square miles. Your average Texas county is about 1,200 square miles. So 2 to 3 counties. Primary communication for 2 or more public safety agencies, with 75% of that coverage area inside of that. So, and then the big one, because depending on how you word this, it may qualify or disqualify large systems. A common core interconnected infrastructure network, ideally with the same ID and wide area communication network. So, big deal there. L3 Harris is fairly notorious for keeping their system ID the same even across the country and just changing the WACN for different systems. And then you have some systems here in Texas where each simulcast layer is its own WACN, even though it is a common core system. So kind of didn't want to eliminate those use cases when what was originally proposed was same system ID, same WACN, which was very much a Motorola architecture and how they built their systems, and not necessarily how Harris or E.F. Johnson traditionally built their systems. So tried to make it vendor neutral. Out of that, ID'd 9 systems. So Potter Randall Regional Radio System out of Amarillo, Coastal Bend, Granbury, Gators, Greater Austin Travis, LCRA. Those are 2 overlapping systems for the most part, LCRA and Gators. Gators is the only VHF supported system. North Texas Interoperable Network, formerly the Fort Worth Regional Radio System. The Rio Grande Valley System, Southeast Texas Regional Radio System, and TexWarn, the Texas Wide Area Radio Network. With this, one of our biggest changes, though, was implementing a new grant requirement, which will basically require all grant-funded radios to be multi-band. And they have to have VHF, UHF, and 7800, in addition to having AES multi-key. So it doesn't matter if you're in a rural county, you get grant funds, you're going to have to start buying grant-funded radios, or with those grant-funded radios, it's going to have to be multi-band, VHF, UHF, and 700 and 800 megahertz. Texas is more or less one of the first counties to require this. With, I believe, Missouri does require grant-funded radios to be VHF and 7800 for use on the Moswin system. But other than that, none of the other states have a multiband requirement currently. Now, currently in Texas, there has not been any NOFOs, notice of funding opportunities, that actually require this yet, but it's been put in the SCIP. It'll be in the NOFOs for the next round of grant funding opportunities, is what we've been told. So, what does that mean? Well, no more buying single band radios, and no more buying a multi-band chassis with only a single band enabled if you're going to use grant funds. Personally, I don't see this as a big idea or as a big deal. A lot of this requirement came out of what we saw down in Kerrville this last summer, back in July. We had, LCRA covered 700 in the river valleys. The greater rural population, VHF only out there in terms of public safety entities. And then when we got entities from other states running on gators or other cities in Texas, and in some cases other states, they were bringing single band only radios, and it wasn't the band that they needed, is what it ended up being. So I know there was a group out in Illinois that got a blanket STA issued on UHF, and there's very little UHF use here in Texas. Texas Task Force 1 and 2 brought UHF single band radios. And so that left a lot of the communications unit members struggling to keep up and patch those UHF resources back in, because in Texas we're obviously geared mainly for VHF and 7800. So this was one of the big things that came out of that. And in addition to that, it has to be multi-band, it has to have AES multi-key. If trunking's enabled, so if you're buying it and you're going to put it on a trunking radio, it has to have phase 2 enabled and multi-system over-the-air rekeying. So there's some additional stuff that having that will make you have, but those are what we really wanted. One of the third things there, we're going to create a standardized SSID for use with your smart radio functions such as Beyond, Smart Connect, and ES Chat when those are integrated with the radios. And also, if you haven't done Wi-Fi programming now, it's a very functional feature. Motorola supports it through radio management. EF Johnson supports it through the VP8000 and the VM8000 when you have the OTIP functionality programmed or configured. And you can do that. You don't have to be using Armada server. You can just do it straight out of Armada. BK, in a beta release that is currently available of Res, they support it. And on the BKR 9000. And of course L3 Harris also supports it, in addition to Motorola and L3 also supporting remote programming over LTE for those LTE integrated radios. So that's kind of the big news. One of the other things that we also wanted to put in is we're still pushing the Team Awareness Kit here in Texas. DPS sponsors the server, and it was very heavily used with the recovery efforts down in Kerrville this last summer, and it's still very heavily used for border ops and a bunch of other things. Very handy program. I actually, for personal stuff, I use it for hunting because I can sit there and range my targets, or range features, land features, so I know, oh yeah, sitting in the blind, oh yeah, that clump of trees right there is 100 yards away or 180 yards away. So kind of a useful tool. And then, of course, also mentioning Bridge for Public Safety, which is essentially a SLAC-like application for public safety use. It is end-to-end encrypted and meets all of our retention policies for public safety agencies. So that is also something that they're still wanting to push. But the biggest thing to come out of this is Texas will be the first state in the country to require that future grant-funded radios be VHF, UHF, and 7800, even though UHF is not commonly used in Texas for public safety. So that's big news. It's made some unhappy, especially when you were purchasing single band radios. A lot of these multi-band chassis are still more expensive when you option them with a single band compared to a straight single band radio. But it's the direction that we need to take the state for interoperability. So leave some comments if you think this is going to be negative or if you see good things out of it. Personally, I only see good things coming from this. Once everybody gets over the sticker shock of some of these multi-band products, or actually finally feels free to venture outside of that brand bias and see what's actually available out there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and follow if you want to see more.